total number of African Americans? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, theoretically, you would be in a mixed race category. You'd be other than purely African American. And so some see that as perhaps diluting our representation.
Now, what impact would this have to dilute the African American representation in the census?
Well, coming out of last year's election, I mean, there's always been the observance that minority groups, especially blacks, have been undercounted. What the census does is they take the official count, and then using various statistical methods, they project the population between the census years. So they would project the population for 1997 based upon 1990 data. However, what we've been finding is that the actual census count often is beneath those projected totals. So the expected African-American percentage of the population is usually below what we get in the census count. So what is believed is that that's what's called the census undercount, which obviously is going to cut into the number of representatives from a given area, whether it's at the state level or at the federal level. And so, you know, we saw in this recent election that to some degree led to some of the problems that we saw in Florida and even here in Nashville.
If you look at the overall African American population from the census, what would be the percentage of the African American population in this country?
Well, we range from approximately 12.7 to 13% of the population. That's out of 281 million as of the last count. However, there are a lot of people who argue against that, saying, no, we're actually 15%, 16% of the population because we're undercounted. And, you know, there are reasons for that. A lot of times the people who actually go out and do the census enumeration do not want to go into African American communities. And sometimes the estimations are conducted by counting households, and we know it's just a fact that African American households contain more people than white households, and so the undercount occurs that way. So there are a variety of reasons for the undercount that can have serious impacts, especially with regard to political representation.
Okay, looking at this census, Dr. Padgett, give our audience some of the things that you believe to be important. That is, looking at this overall census of 2000, and as a geographer and as a person involved in the environment, what do you see and what can you tell our audience this morning about this census?
Well, as I mentioned before, the new racial designations, and that's important. Also, the undercount, the fact that we're being undercounted, that's also important. But also, we can look at some trends that I'll get into later and see where African Americans are moving, where African Americans are living, where we're distributed geographically. I mean, we are much more likely to live in urban areas than other population groups, especially more than whites. And if you look at the outcomes of this most recent election, there was a split, I mean, a clear division between a geographical division for who voted for Gore and who voted for Bush. Clearly, Bush dominated the more rural, suburban areas where white people live, and African Americans and voted for Gore, and he had a stronger presence in inner cities.
In urban America.
Yes.
And so you see that as a great trend in terms of the census, a great breakdown in terms of where African Americans and other groups are located in the United States. And of course, Dr. Padgett, let us have this short commercial break, and after which we'll come back for our second segment, and we'll give you an opportunity to continue this discussion. We'll be back with you following this short commercial break.